Turki Alalshikh throwing his name into the hat means, Chuck, it is inevitable.
Yeah.
I cannot see how it doesn't happen, because prize fighters fight for that prize, and the prize that the man who heads up Riyadh season is going to throw at these fighters is going to be such that it is impossible to ignore. And on the side of Jones, who's still affiliated, of course, to UFC and Dana White, he's going to go speak. And they have a great relationship. This is Jones and Dana White. So as much as Dana White has his issues with other promotions, Turki Alalshikh is not necessarily a promotion as such, right? But he's got the thing that gets all of these guys to talk. He's got money. Money makes this world in particular go around. And you go to Dana White and you put up a number which he cannot ignore, because every man has his price. This fight is going to happen. We were looking at Dana White as, is he going to be able to make this fight happen, considering his history with Ngannou and where Ngannou is presently fighting from. And we cast doubts over it, right? But it feels as if, Chuck, this is too big of a fight for it not to happen. In pugilistic sports, particularly in boxing, we've had this issue in terms of the fights that we want to see, they don't happen. But in actual truth, Chuck, they might not happen at the time that we want them to happen. They might not happen at the peak of the two bulls' careers, but they tend to happen eventually, right? Most famously, Mayweather and Pacquiao. We clamored for that fight for the longest of times. It didn't happen, but it did happen. The trajectory is such that you cannot have two guys who are this level of star power in the same generation, and it doesn't happen. And yeah, maybe when we see it, we might be disappointed. That's what happened in that fight with Mayweather and Pacquiao. That's what happened when Bud Spencer fought Bud Spencer. Bud Crawford fought Errol Spence. Bud Spencer's somebody totally different. And it's also the heavyweight fights that we've gotten to see. The reason we haven't seen, for example, a Joshua go up against Wilder is because of what has happened in their careers. There isn't that much of a desire to see that. If somehow they were able to repatch their careers, we will see that, and it's going to happen in Saudi Arabia. So with Jones and Ngannou, considering that this is the one fight above all that all fight fans, UFC fans, MMA fans want to see. And if that guy who holds so much money and so much power and so much sway says that this is something that he's dreaming about make happen, he's gonna make it happen. It's gonna happen.
I mean, these are fights that we have to see, Jay, and I think with Turki Alalshikh having saved boxing, if I could say that, because he's put together the fights like the Bivol and Beterbiev. It's because he was central to that coming together. When you see Fury and Usyk, it's because he was there, putting his hand, making sure that these fights come together. And so, I mean, MMA world right now, I mean, Pantoja at UFC 310 called out Mighty Mouse. It's like, I know you're retired, but come on, let's go for the legacy. Mighty Mouse said he was once offered $2 million for a fight, and he says no, because it's good. But what if Turkey turns it up and says, I can give you 10? We might see that legend fight Pantoja. We might see Ngannou fight John Jones, another legend. So I think he's the guy. He's the middleman to broker all deals, because you see guys like Eddie Hearn who are in charge of their own boxing promotions. But when Turkey speaks, they listen as well. So I think we're closer to seeing it, because the thing about UFC contracts as well, and I don't know how they work exactly, but Dana White is on the record having said, I can't force guys to fight. You got a 5-fight deal, but if he says he's not ready to fight in June, I'm not going to force him. I'll find someone else, and I'll use this guy who's willing to fight. And so sometimes I'm of the impression that if guys don't want to fight or they want to walk away with the UFC, it's not that difficult to do that. And so I think if John Jones like, hey, there's more money over there, and for my legacy I can fight Ngannou as well, I think it shouldn't be difficult. But if he wants to benefit as a promotion as well, make the deal with Turkey. Make the deal.